Dude, that ball by Derek Carr. Who's gonna bring us in?
Oh, by the way, are we live? Sorry.
See what NFL Sunday Football does to us.
Yeah, I'm like, are we live? What's going on, fellas? It's College Football Recap Show. Got Samurai Radio, Kai Chisholm over there with Danny Gillette and Manny Chang. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing? I see we're all wearing our colors, so that's nice.
Well, I was wearing a UM shirt because I was, wearing one of my old work shirts while I was working out. So I had to.
That's 3 shows in a row that we get someone cut out, man. Kai, I'm with you, brother. You should have kept it on.
What are you doing, man?
I worked at the wellness center for 3 years with like their program. So I have like an entire closet full of work shirts from there.
It's all right.
Hey, look, they're good to work out in.
Don't worry, guys. I still have a
Devin Haynes the other day on our show, so that's okay. That's all right, man. You can say it, man. That's all right.
They used to force me to put up to you, man. It was horrible.
So I guess we'll start off with our teams because obviously we're not too happy what happened yesterday. I think one was a little more expected than the other, but still kind of a bummer, right? I guess we can start with you guys with Florida going down to Texas A&M. And I mean, it was a good game. It was a great game, I guess, for Texas A&M. I want to say it's a great game all around, but listen, Kyle Trask is still doing his thing. The offense is still doing their thing. But you guys kept mentioning it on all the shows that we've kind of been together on that that defense. The defense is going to be the biggest issue with your team, and obviously it showed yesterday as well. So if you guys want to start off and kind of talk a little bit about what you saw in that game.
I mean, I'll just say this, Kai, and I'm going to end it there. Listen, it's nothing new that we haven't been talking about for the last 2-3 weeks. I've kind of already hit the nail on the coffin with it. It's been defense. Offense to me, when you score over 30 points a game, that to me tells me that you're doing enough to win the football game. You don't expect your defense to obviously give up as much or twice as much per games at times. I did tell you though, Kai, last 2 weeks, watch out for Jimbo's offense. We've seen it. He's always had a signature win no matter what his record has been overall. I told you we need to be prepared. We need to, I don't care they only scored under 20 against Missouri. I don't care if they only scored 21 versus Bama. This is Jimbo, man. I've seen him too many times at Florida State do things that it just makes it the Jimbo way. And this was just another game where he knew he could out-physical us with running the football. He could out-throw us. He could basically do anything he ever wanted to. His entire playbook of how many pages it was at his disposal because we showed no sign of life of stopping the run, protecting third down, and once again, we have guys wide open in the middle of the field. And listen, Coach, Mr. Dan Mullen, listen, I understand you want the fan base to show up, and listen, it's a pandemic season, year, or whatever you want to call it. But you need to stop forcing, fans to attend the game, and you need to really look at the defensive room, get in there, and fix it, because time is running out. Next week you're at home against LSU, Missouri, and then guess what? You got Georgia. Okay, no more excuses. It's been 2 consecutive seasons where you've lost to them. We can't do this anymore. So fix it. Find what's going wrong. And if the vets don't want to show up and play, bro, you got plenty of recruits sitting back there that will gladly take their snaps. And I'd rather lose knowing that I'm going to get effort than, no sign of life. Cox, my man, you were the transfer from Georgia that we were expecting. Where you been? The only one I see running around is Jeremiah Moon, but yeah, they have Todd Grantham has him covering passes on third down. I don't get it.
Him.
And
That's all I can say, man.
And I'll say this, and I'll say this just for one thing. That way, Kai can talk about it. C.J. Henderson, man, it's shown me how much pressure was off from the defense when you have a guy like that. They could, in a sense, shut down one side of the field, and all you do as a defensive coordinator just focus on the other. What a difference that guy makes a year after leaving.
What about Baby Henderson, man? Come on.
Baby Henderson's gonna be able to do his thing eventually. I mean, it just goes to show too that like
guys, Baby Henderson don't play defense, bro.
Yeah, it's just at the same time, like it makes me see like Marco Wilson, like CJ Henderson made Marco Wilson look good because there was a time in which people were like, okay, this could be, the whole everyone talks about the whole DBU and that maybe the Gators have really two good defensive backs, and then now we're seeing Marco Wilson. I mean, that one touchdown, I think it was like one of the final drives after we had went 5 plays touchdown after that Texas A&M fumble. Yeah, it was a Kellen Mond pass to Chapman, 51 yards. I know we talked about it before he started. He was in the most, I mean, you could go and pick up who's a really horrible defensive back in the NFL right now. I can't think of off like the top of my head, but you could pick up like, or even in college, one of these guys that just gets torched and torched and torched and torched. And if they're put in that position to make that play, you're going to pick that ball off. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous that he completely just missed on that. Like, that ball, even the announcers were like, we expected that to be intercepted, and it was a freaking touchdown. Makes absolutely no sense. Todd Grantham, I kept saying it yesterday, you should have done leave him on the tarmac. Don't let him get on the goddamn plane. Should have left him in Texas with all their fans, and he just needs to be fired. You know, Dan Mullen said that they're going to evaluate things. I think this
should have been evaluating after week 1
for sure.
What the hell are you evaluating now, man? Like, what are you going to possibly do? Change the scheme?
It's just frustrating.
It's just it's mind-boggling how you play in the SEC. You know that you need to be better every single week, and yet the offense is taking strides. But yet, once again, Malik Davis with his fumbles, man, like we've seen this before last season where he had costly fumbles, even against in the Miami game where he fumbled, I think twice it was, and just stupid situations that shouldn't be happening, especially in the head coach heading to his 3rd season with this type of program. It just shouldn't happen.
And that last fumble, I mean, when that happened, I was just like, all right, the game's over. Like when I had no faith in our defense to get a stop, and then they showed 8 plays, 40 yards.
We are wasting an opportunity with players like Pitts and Tony, man. We are wasting opportunities with those guys, and I'm sure the Canes guys feel the same way with freaking Jordan. Like we are wasting an opportunity to grow and to succeed with guys like that, because those guys don't grow on trees. No matter how great your program is, you know there's other programs already going after other guys like that, like Ohio State and Alabama and et cetera, et cetera. When you got guys like that, you got to take advantage, man, and you got to be able to win games.
Even then, and I'll pass off to you, Jazz, in a second. Like we were saying 2 weeks ago, whatever you got to do, find a way to get Tony involved in the game. Last week, they found a little bit more. This week, he was very involved in the game. And, you know, we got what we wanted offensively. Defensively, it's been the same goddamn situation. Third down. Again, maybe the Canes were expected to, you know, get as slapped as they got by by Clemson than the Gators were expected to lose. But it was just, I felt embarrassed watching the game.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like you guys are having, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you guys having the same issues with your outside guys, right? The wide receiver position is not producing like maybe
it's been Tony and Pitts.
Yeah, it's a Tony and Pitts.
Copeland has disappeared. Grimes, I thought, had an opportunity.
He's missed. Kyle Trask has missed Trayvon Grimes open a little bit. There have been some situations where he's forced balls and he's missed Grimes.
Well, damn, man. I want Grimes to show that fire on the sideline. Hey, I'm open too. Right? You know what I mean? Like, because now Pitts is hurt though. I don't know if you guys know that he's not.
Yeah, I saw that. 100% in the game. Yeah, I saw he was holding his foot or something.
Holding his foot or his ankle and stuff, and you know that young man is thinking about his future as well. So that's another thing that I am afraid of. Like the more we use him to the point where we have other guys that we could use, but again, that's offensively. Right now we're talking about defense, but man, we got a lot of work to do, man.
Yeah, I think
I don't care if we're number 9 ranked in the freaking country. Like we weren't even supposed to be top 5. To be honest with you.
I mean, it's still tough though. I mean, look, listen. I don't know if that Texas A&M team is as good as they played this past week, but you know, I mean, the numbers. Isaiah Spiller had 174 yards on the ground, and then you guys talk about Caleb Chapman. And what's his face? Mark. I think you said Marco Wilson was in position, and we got
Frank Underwood shares my pain when it comes to the Gator side of this. I'm gonna put, why is Todd Grantham so terrible at putting the defense into position to be successful? I don't know. Maybe Todd Grantham and Blake Baker share, I don't know, a company together. Hey, let's be terrible.
With
that, we'll be going to the Canes recap. All right, boys, you're up.
Whatever. We both didn't do so well, so that's all right. I mean, it was kind of the same thing for us, you know, in the sense that our wide receivers are non-existent. All right, Brevin Jordan they took Brevin Jordan completely out of the game, and they did exactly what we were talking about last night, Danny. You know, they focused on stopping the run and stopping our tight ends because they knew that they could win one-on-one outside with our wide receivers. They know our wide receivers weren't going to get any separation, and De'Aaron King was going to have a hard time finding open guys, so they were able to contain him. For the most part, I know he had some nice runs on a few plays, and he scored on that touchdown run. But for the most part, what's his name? Cam Harris was non-existent. Neither were the two freshmen, and Brevin Jordan had a few catches, and then he got hurt as well. So took him completely out of the game. Will Mallory didn't do anything either. And I was under the impression that our tight ends were going to be able to get open against their linebackers. I failed to recognize that Skowski has been there for about 8 years now, and he's an absolute beast. So and some of the other guys that they have, the young kids, are really good also. They're backups. Their third string guy got a pick last night off of N'Kosi Perry. So 22 versus 22. Are we there yet? No, we're definitely not. No. We have some talent, but I mean, these guys are still light years ahead of just about anybody. I don't see Clemson losing to anybody this year. I don't even think Alabama's on the same level with Clemson right now. I think that Clemson is just has
not when you give up so many points to Ole Miss.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And you already had them on film, unlike Florida did.
Yeah, well,
per se.
But no, and it's true. And so Miami now is going to have to go to the drawing board and say, well, what are we going to do with our wide receivers? Because now, while I still think that Miami's a pretty good team, I think they're a pretty good football program. Okay, I don't know if they're going to lose another game either towards the end of the year, the back half of the year, anything else. But it's still going to be tough because now teams are really going to start to hone in on game planning against I guess you can say the condensed part of the field, which is their running backs and their tight ends, and forget about the outside because their wide receivers aren't very good. So do you start playing the younger kids, Danny? Do you start playing the Keyshawn Smiths, Restrepos, the what's the other kid that I'm missing? Michael Redding and even Jeremiah Payton, because Wiggins, Pope, and Harley are just not getting it done.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's what, week 5 now, and we've been and it seems like we've been saying the same thing for the past 4 weeks. When are these outside receivers going to be able to step up? And so far, they have shown that they have not been able to. And teams like game planning for Jordan, like you said, and once teams start game planning for Jordan, and we have no production from the outside receivers, that's a huge issue. I mean, we are in week 5, like I said. Players need to start producing, or else we got to get some of the younger kids in. And then just last night, I saw more of the same stuff. Penalties, dropped kicks on special teams. It just was frustrating. Yes, Clemson's a good team, but I saw too many of the same mistakes over and over that we have been seeing for weeks, and it doesn't seem like anything has been corrected.
You have to play a completely perfect football game to beat Clemson.
Yeah, right.
144 yards in penalties is clearly not going to cut it. That's number one. Right there, right off the bat. I mean, the first possession, you had an opportunity to stop them on 4th down, and we lined up offsides, and then another offsides by Nesta Silvera, and they went in and they scored. And you can't give those opportunities to a team like Clemson. You stop Travis Etienne for the first 5 or 10 plays. Boom, and then all of a sudden, boom, he hits that 72-yarder, and that's it. And it's all she wrote. Now, saying that, I don't think. I know it sounds kind of crazy, giving up 500 yards of offense, but I don't think that the defense played terrible. We definitely have some deficiencies at linebacker. Okay, our linebacker position is young. Bradley Jennings had a decent game, and maybe Sam Brooks had a couple plays, and then disappeared, and I don't know if they took him out. I don't know. And this Frank Underwood brings up a good point. What's Blake Baker doing? Is he making adjustments on the fly? Clearly he's not making that many adjustments. Does Manny Diaz need to start getting more involved again in strategizing and game planning for teams like Clemson and Pitt and UNC and whoever else we're going to play? I think it's going to be important for the linebacker play to start to step up and play a little bit better. We couldn't win up front with our front four, and that's kind of concerning. But at the same time, I go back to it being Clemson. So, we were able to get some pressure on him at times, but it wasn't enough. He was able to sit back in the pocket and do whatever he wanted at any point. And, those dink and dunk passes, quick here and there, was hard for the front four to get pressure on him either way. A couple of calls, like that targeting call by Keontre Smith, was,
Yeah, listen, a quick thing about that
becomes so
particular
weak.
call.
It's terrible. Amari Carter's never mind. That kid needs to figure it out. He needs to start looking in the mirror and say, Jesus Christ. I mean, how many, and who brought it up was Dave, right? He said at this point we're gonna start prop bets on how long it's gonna take for Amari Carter to get kicked out of a game for targeting. That's the truth. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that, Kai or Manny, but I just, am I disappointed? Sure. Am I surprised? No. So I'm okay with it. You've got to fix some things, and the first thing we need to fix, the offensive line actually didn't play terrible either. So
they played well. Yeah.
There's only so long that De'Aaron King can stand in the pocket and try to find an open receiver, and these guys aren't getting separation. It's a cover sack. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know what you guys thought.
I didn't expect Miami to win the game going into it.
Same here.
My whole thing was being a Gators fan, growing with Miami, fans. I feel like some of the ones I interact with are a little delusional. Like, sometimes things go on, but Gators fans are as well. So my whole thing yesterday was just like,
absolutely sure.
We're back.
I know, like, I want my thing is like I want to be successful because it's just better when and UF are successful. FSU, Tyler Trashy, I don't care about them. Like, it's better. Like, it's just good for Miami sports when is successful. It's good for Florida when is successful. But when we were getting crap yesterday, like, I was disappointed. Like, I was extremely disappointed in the Gators' loss. But then when we were getting crap from fans, I was just like, y'all, like, I know you're doing better.
It's
but
not
running into
guys.
the number one overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. Like, you guys, I don't know. I think for you guys, it's a lot less. I mean, it's adjustments. You know what you have to work on. You weren't expecting to win, and you're going to be disappointed, of course, because you never want to lose. But it's not a situation like the Gators had yesterday. Like, the Gators should have won that game, and they threw it away. Then that's what it is.
Listen, I did expect
Kai,
it's better though.
Yeah, Kai, like, it's safe to say that I guess we have the confidence that Dan Mullen eventually will get it together and say that, what I'm saying, like, we should have
Grantham. It's
fired.
That's all that I run down to.
Like, we look towards our future now, and I still feel confident that we'll end, top 10 or, even if we get in the football playoff and if we lose to a high poly team like Clemson, I'm not going to feel bad. But that's the standard now at Florida, year in and year out. Miami, unfortunately, when I look at them, I understand they want to get there. I understand that, they want to get back to that peak. But unfortunately, they're still trying to figure out, is Manny Diaz that guy?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
So while we have finally reached the tunnel, but now we're trying to get through it, Miami still hasn't even reached it halfway because they still want to see what they have per se, not with players, because obviously it's collegiate, it's recruiting wise, but is the system that Manny Diaz is doing going to lead us to the direction that we want to go to? Because to be honest, Miami hasn't been where they've been wanting to be at since what it seems like it's been forever.
2003, 2004.
Yeah, and even with Mark Rick when they were top 2, top 3 in the college.
17.
Yes, 17. Like that right there to me though, it shows like they had an opportunity, but of course, as Heat fans or as us Heat fans besides Danny down here, do not let go of the rope, and I feel like they let go of that rope, and ever since then it's been downhill since. So while we feel confident in which, listen, if we had Jim McElwain still, then I'd be feeling, like Joe Philbin said, before Bill, little queasy. But with Manny Diaz, you don't know yet what you have. And that's what Miami fans are still trying to figure out, if Manny Diaz is that guy that can lead them back to the direction. Because I'm sorry, Miami can't be back if they're still losing to Duke. They can't be back if they're losing to Pittsburgh. They can't be back if they're losing teams like other teams in their conference. Okay. The ACC is always so much better and so competitive when it's always been Florida State and Miami. Let's be honest here. There's no other team in that conference that makes ACC football more powerful to watch, more views than when it's Florida State and Miami at the very top. I don't care about Virginia Tech. I don't care about Boston College. Sorry, Danny. I don't know if you're a college guy fan, but ACC is about Florida State and Miami. And those two conferences have not been up there together in a long, long time. So that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a good point. It's I think the typical, the typical Miami fan is still trying to figure out if Manny is the guy. I mean, he's made some some moves in the right direction this year. I think that this is it's a little bit different. Do I still think a lot needs to happen? Absolutely. Look, I mean, Clemson has a decade of recruiting. Monsters, right? And they continue.
But there's no excuse though, Jazz, for you not to be in that championship game every year. That's my thing.
The ACC championship.
Who cares if you lose to them every single time?
Yeah,
Miami could be in Charlotte every single December. I don't care what you say.
And and we've actually spoken about this on the Six Ring sometimes with the players, right? The players that we get. We do get some great players out of Miami-Dade County and Broward and Palm Beach County. But what you notice, and Jock brings this up, which I wish Jock was here on the show, is the level of development and skill. Skill is never going to be an issue. There's skill there, but you look at guys like Mark Pope, you look at guys like Harley and D. Wiggins, and some of these position players that were absolutely great in high school, but they weren't coached up in high school. Like some of the guys up north in even North Broward and Palm Beach County, you see a lot of those guys being really successful at the next level because they've been coached properly, right? A lot of the guys in Miami-Dade County are just out there and, hey, go do your thing. You're talented enough where you're going to win one-on-one matchups all day. Are we going to coach you up the way that you need to be coached? Probably not. So a lot of them come to Miami or go anywhere else and kind of fizzle out. And you're seeing it with guys like Mark Pope, and you're seeing it with guys like D. Wiggins who aren't developing and progressing. Mark Pope was a 5-star guy coming out of high school, played in the Under Armour All-American game, not Under Armour, the Army All-American game. And you're looking at the guy and you're saying, well, this guy supposedly can run great routes. He's got the speed to separate, so on and so forth. He's just not putting it together. So I think it's a matter of recruiting and developing the players that you recruit. Not only recruiting the right guys, but you still need to land some huge players in order to compete with the Clemsons and the Alabamas and even the Floridas, because Florida's still doing a really good job of recruiting. So that's why they're still there and they're still competing in the SEC, is because they have players and they've got good player development. So Miami is not there yet in the sense of having that depth where they can say, well, we're 2 deep, we're 3 deep, and we can compete with these big boys. Is the talent there? Yes. It's still going to take some time, but you're right, Manny. We still need to be in that ACC championship game.
I mean, listen. It's nice to have Virginia and Duke and stuff, but listen, college football fans, they know what each conference and the teams that should always be in it. Just like in the SEC, we know it's always supposed to be Bama from the West, and then Florida, and then if it's not, it's Georgia and Alabama. Like those are the matchups that are always expected because of the highly touted programs that they are. But in the ACC, man, but in the ACC, dude, I grew up always Florida State, Miami. That's it. Virginia Tech in the late 90s snuck in and they beat Florida State or whatever the case was. But, it's like every year, though, last year surprised me per se. I thought Manny had a hold of the program, but you can't be losing games the way you did. And then you go out and you showcase that bowl game in the end. And listen, if that was Florida and if they would have lost like that, dude, I am damn sure that Manny Diaz would have probably not been the coach at Florida if that was the case, or if it was Dan Mullen, because Dan Mullen already knows what to expect because he was there with in all those title runs with Urban Meyer. Okay, he was their offensive coordinator, so he already knows what to expect, what's expected. For Manny, all of a sudden to accept the job in Temple, and I understand the whole Mark Richt situation and whatnot. It was bad timing, bad whatsoever. But I thought that was a win for Manny to stay because he already had connections with the defense. He had those connections with the players down here in Miami. But I thought Jock, just like you said, brought up a great point, man. The coaching differential from this county to the next, you're seeing it, especially at Miami, and you're like, damn, like it's becoming quite an eye opener that gets you scratching your head a little bit, and it's like, you know what? Maybe we got to expand a little bit. We love the county guys. Don't get me wrong. 305 will always be home, but it doesn't hurt a couple of guys outside of the pipelines per se.
But let's be honest. Let's talk about greatest players in Miami football history, right? In Canes football history.
Sean Taylor, Broward County.
Okay,
that's it. That's it, bro. I know Sean Taylor's my dude, bro.
Edry, Louisiana. Ken Dorsey, California. PJ Williams, California. John Beeson was not a local kid from Miami. you can go off. Maybe you get some here and there, of course, right? Andre Johnson and some of them, Roscoe Parrish, and some of those guys that were really good. But even like Devin Hester was Central Florida, North Florida. So it's completely different. If you think of it that way, you look back and you say, hold on a second, the greatest players. I mean, Gio Toretto was from California, right? So think about all the great players.
Shockey,
majority of them.
Shockey.
A lot of them, the majority of them are not local guys. Miami,
California, Texas, Jersey.
So that's my thing that I keep going back to. I like it. You still got to get your local guys, right? There's still some local talent out there that is, that's gonna ball out. But you have to stop with the whole state of Miami thing. I'm not a big fan of it. It's great for marketing purposes and advertising and the turnover chain and all that crap. But at the end of the day, you've got to expand and you've got to get those kids from outside the area. DJ Dallas is a great example of a kid that was, maybe he's not a superstar, but a kid from Georgia that, bleeds orange and green. Go out and get those kids. Go out to Alabama. Go to Ohio. I know it's tough to recruit in those places because of Ohio State and Alabama and all the SEC teams as well. But you have to, in order to compete, you have to go get those kids, right?
Worth a shot. Yeah, it's worth a shot.
You can't go out there and whiff on a kid like Ja'Cory Brooks from IMG. That kid needs to come to Miami somehow. You got to figure out a way to get him here. It's tough because he's in SEC territory in Central Florida, but the Gators didn't get him. He went to Alabama. So come on, there's got to be a way for them to grab those guys, because once you do that, I'm a big fan of going to Nebraska and Iowa and Ohio and getting these big offensive linemen, these big,
Wisconsin, man. If like other teams can figure out a way to go to Wisconsin and get a couple of big linemen, man. Listen, not all of them can play for the Badgers at once. All right,
exactly.
There has to be some extra beef there.
That's the way you're going to compete. And once we start doing that, but you brought up a great point, Manny. It's going to be telling how the Canes react after this loss, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a loss where you sit back and you cry and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost. It's not an FIU loss. So this is a loss that I don't want to say Canes players expected it, because you always expect to win, even if you're a player, no matter what. But I think it's going to be telling to see how they react and how they move forward. I want to say it's a different team. I have that feeling. I have that sense that I feel it's going to be different, and they're going to go out and put up 40, 50 points on Pitt. But we're still yet to see if this is that type of Miami team that can kind of move forward, forget about the past, and keep going forward. I think it is. I think we've got the players, we've got the mentality, but it's still yet to be seen. If they can do that, then that Manny is going in the right direction with this football program. And I think
you think that has to be the situation for coaching? Because I think I also, and obviously being Gators fan, not being a UM fan, but one of the things I always looked at is okay, well, UM, I feel again, with that last 2003, 2004 is the last time that they were, I guess, in that high regard nationally, where it's this is UM is football. Miami, yeah, the Dolphins are there, but UM is the thing. And even growing up, it was people always told me, oh no, but UM is Miami. I'd look and I'd be like, well, I know that I watch football and care about football, and UM's not doing that great, so why should I be thinking that mindset? Do you think that from the past few years, or I guess decade plus now, and then also the coaching situations just have hurt the Canes in the long term?
Yeah, short answer.
This, yeah,
yeah. Danny.
I'll just say this. I feel like the Miami perspective per se, they've wanted to find ways to get over Florida State, and you have done that. Besides Florida State dumping on themselves, but now that you've bettered yourself than Florida State, that shouldn't be the stopping ground. It should be continuing. It should be growing. And unfortunately, as an outsider, I get it. I'm not a Canes fan, but I'm also a realistic fan person. I don't see that. Yes, you're here. Florida State's down here. You battled so hard for 6 seasons or whatever it was to get to that point after they won the national championship and after they beat you on consecutive years, year in and year out. You've reached that pinnacle now. But where is the growth? Where is the consecutive years of being consistent at something?
Right. That's what we need to see.
It's not seen. Florida didn't have that with Jim McElwain. Yeah, he took us to the one title game and whatever. We got shellacked by Bama, what the case was. But he was so inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? So we brought in a guy, like I said, with Dan Mullen, who was there already when we won our titles back in, whenever it was. And, at least you have something staple. And listen, it's been 2 consecutive seasons, 2 trips to bowl games, 2 victories, and that we can say, okay, you know what? You're growing on that little by little, even though the defense right now looks like a pile of pudding, per se. What is Miami's leap? You can't say, oh, it's be on top of Florida State. Like, Florida State right now is dirt.
No,
you know what I mean? So that's my perspective of it.
At this point, I'm not even talking about Florida State and we beat them. Well, whatever, it is what it is. We're supposed to. But
you wouldn't have said that 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe. You wouldn't have said that last year when it was when it was an important matchup going to Tallahassee. Right. Willie Taggart needed to show up. Florida State needed to show up, and you beat them. But look how the season ended. This year, you just whooped their asses at Hard Rock Stadium. But that shouldn't be the bar. That shouldn't be the bar anymore. That right there should be already something you see on a consistent basis, year in and year out. You need.
They weren't even good. They weren't even good though. It's not like I can say, "Oh yeah, we beat Florida State. They were great." Florida State was awful. They weren't good at all. I mean,
but like I said, you wasn't saying that 3 years ago. You guys weren't saying that 3 years ago.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. I get it. We would have. I mean, and unfortunately, that's been the issue, right? Yeah, you get all up about beating Florida State at the at the end, and with the whole thing, how it happened with Malik Rozier and the comeback the year after that, and you get all hyped about it, you get all excited about it, and then you don't grow from there, right? Yeah, that's exactly. I think that it's changed this year. I think that when you put up, I don't think it was like that before you played Florida State. Even this year, I think at that point you were still like, well, it's still Florida State. Are we gonna get in a tight game with a team that we're superior to? You know what I mean? Or that we're that much better to? Are we gonna continue to fall into that trap of we're gonna have to compete against these teams that are not as good as us? And then still be kind of nervous about, well, where are we at? I think once people saw, once players saw that, the ass whooping that we gave FSU, I think it changed. I think the mindset changed for not only the fans, but for the players as well. Because I don't see as much, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't see as much people panicking about this loss to Clemson last night, right?
No, not at all.
No. I don't see a lot of people saying, holy shit.
I mean, the only thing that bugs me, at 3:30, it was, man, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then at 11 o'clock, it was expected. Like, you can't be giving a certain, being so confident, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. This is definitely going to show us where our program is at. And then at 11, this is what was expected. You wasn't saying that last week.
That's like every fan base. Yeah, because I think that's every fan base.
Yeah,
because you have those delusional fans. It always happens, and it's
like
the same people
coming at me at 3:30 with the LOL. So okay, I'm gonna LOL back. Like what the heck?
It happens.
You have a game at 7:30 and you're LOLing me. Hey,
that happens with every fan base, though.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't pinpoint it to Miami.
What was funny was when FSU LOL at us, and I'm like, are you really?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
But
they couldn't even stop a nosebleed against the Irish yesterday.
Danny, would you agree though? Look, I'm one of those guys that said, look, if we do this, that, and the other, could we beat them? Yeah, but we have to play the perfect game.
Anyone can beat anyone at any game.
I still thought, my prediction was still that, Clemson was going to beat Miami, right? So, I had a head and a heart prediction, right? And in my head, smart one says, okay, Clemson's going to beat Miami. But Danny, would you say that you still wanted to? You still were disappointed that you didn't see more out of the offense, regardless of whether we lost or won. I was expecting to see a little bit more out of the offense, so I was a bit disappointed about that. But then again, you got to go back to, okay, well they game plan accordingly, and that's what showed.
I was expecting to see King show up just a little bit more. I thought this would be a good chance for him to show nationally what he could do against Trevor Lawrence. I get that the Clemson defensive line was great last night. They set a lot of pressure. They got a lot of penetration up front, but I really would have liked to have seen him throw the ball a bit more. I get that he was under pressure a lot of the time, and I get that the outside wide receivers weren't really doing a whole lot, but I would have liked to have seen him, get a couple touchdowns or make one like huge play that really made me go, wow, this kid is really good, and he still is really good, but I was just hoping he would take more advantage of the spotlight against the number 1 draft pick in Clemson and yada, yada, yada. So I really was kind of expecting a little bit more, not like a ton because it's Clemson, but a little bit more would have been nice.
Well, look, I there was a couple throws that I'm sure he wishes he could have had back, right? Was that one interception that he threw that he was trying to target Will Mallory. Will Mallory had a few steps on the quarterback. If he leads him, gets a little more air on it. That's probably a touchdown. The one in the end zone on the other interception that D. Wiggins fell down. Mm-hmm. D. Wiggins fell down, but if D. Wiggins plays that ball right, the worst that could happen is an incompletion. He didn't play the ball right. He didn't come back for it. And those are things that you need to do if you are a top flight wide receiver. You need to come back on that. You need to make a play regardless. So I kind of want to end there because I think that we all know what we need to correct as a program with UF and with the University of Miami. It was a big week in college football, period. A lot of teams, like LSU went down to Missouri. Okay, what's up, NYC Canes? Missouri, look, LSU's bad. They're hurt. They've got a lot of guys that are out still on defense. Their offense, obviously, they lost a lot of guys there as well. So it's not the same football program. But you didn't expect Missouri to hang up 45 points or however many that they hung up on LSU. So that was a tough one. I don't think LSU is going to be a factor this year in the SEC. I hate to say that, but I think it's a 2 or 3 team race. Really, I think I still think Florida's in it. It's Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and I mean you can kind of swap in someone there.
For those 3, for Georgia, Alabama. I mean, I guess for just Alabama, Florida, it comes to that game when they play.
Yeah,
when they play, that'll decide which one of them goes and which one of them doesn't.
By the way, it's just hilarious how quickly the Mississippi State talk has just plummeted. 2 points. 2?
Yeah. That's
Kentucky. But this is why the SEC is the greatest football conference. I don't care. Missouri winning, Kentucky giving up only 2 points to a Bulldogs team that scored off a safety. I mean, come on, dude. This is just Luda. By the way, that Virginia Tech and North Carolina game was pretty crazy too.
That was a good game. That was a really good game. I know you hate to see that there's other teams in the ACC that can play football. Those 2 teams can play some football, man.
Man, what are you talking about? The Missouri Tigers will wallop them, man. Well, the Kentucky Wildcats will handle the Wolfpack, bro. What you talking about?
NC State, that's another team, man. NC State.
I know. Hey, I've been telling you about NC State though for a couple of weeks. They got some dogs up there.
Yeah, they do. They got Boston College with the late win over Pitt.
Look at Danny. Danny's like, yeah.
Very happy. It's about time. I've been waiting since the days of Matt Ryan, and I hope they're back, but I'm not holding my breath. They just disappointed me too much.
Oh,
Matt Ryan. Bro.
That's terrible, man. That's terrible. But hey, good for them. The other day we were talking about Steve Adazio still being the head coach over there.
Don't even mention his name.
Crap, all right? Hey, good for them. Remember, the ACC is kind of even all the way throughout. I mean, it's Clemson and everybody else right now. So, but I mean, North Carolina is a good ball club, but they gave up 45 points. All right.
Listen. The whole college football world was telling us that Texas was back.
That's another one.
We're back.
That's 4 years now. Tom Herman has had there to take that program. Their offense is not bad. Sam Ehlinger, I think I've always been high on Sam Ehlinger. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's going to do well in the NFL. But his defense, he's got no defense over there still. They still give up a ton of points, and it takes Sam Ehlinger to go off and have a great game for them to win. So that's tough. I mean, Spencer Rattler is a pretty good quarterback, but he's not Kyler Murray and he's not Baker Mayfield just yet. Could he be? Maybe. I don't know. I remember seeing him in QB1. He's a prick. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I digress. But Oklahoma's a decent program. They're still not, they're not a very good program right now. And again, they don't play any defense in that conference.
It's the Big 12 defense, yeah.
Yeah, that's a Big 12, man. They don't play anything. So it's a great football game to watch, but whatever. Jock said yesterday he doesn't think that Georgia has a really good offense. I know,
but their defense showed up in the second half against Tennessee, man, because they were making that Tennessee quarterback look like a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Dude, they scored 27 points and they went 27-0 in the second half. Then they beat Tennessee, who is a half decent program in the SEC. Also, they're 2-1, 44-21 score there with Georgia. I have no idea who that Stetson Bennett kid is over at Georgia. I don't. He's playing over JT Daniels right now. Is JT Daniels? Is JT Daniels
the transfer from USC?
Yeah, JT Daniels. Is he?
JT Daniels a transfer from.
Is he cleared to play though? So I'm just curious.
Well, in the first week of SEC football, Kirby said he was good to go. So right. I guess he hasn't been playing well since. I'm not exactly sure.
I guess you're not going to change anything if it's not broken right now. You leave it alone. He's doing a good job with that Georgia.
No, but next week they play Alabama.
Yeah, that's going to be a big
and you know that Nick Saban's going to try to get his offense rolling. I mean, his offense was already rolling. His defense kind of show up a little bit after giving up so many points. By the way, Kai, those yards that we gave up and points to Ole Miss don't look so bad now, huh? Because Bama had them on tape, man.
Yeah, yesterday was just the second that I got like that game was going the way it went, and that field goal, I was like, oh man, that they had a field goal tip that went in, so maybe we'll block it. Yeah. And saying that field goal went in, I was like, I'm so happy we're not doing post game. I was just like, let's go. Let me get the hell out of this house. I cannot. It was just frustrating. Like we've already gone through it, but it's just like it's like when I would watch the Dolphins and like see Ryan Tannehill miss open passes. I'm just sitting there like, I don't know. It's just
feel you, my brother. Well, how about guys? I'm saying, listen, you learn from this, you move on from it. Obviously, you look at it as a lesson thing. Listen, Dan Mullen has some work to do during this week. Stop talking about fans showing up, worrying about your defense, please. And I'm sure Manny Diaz, man, just time to regroup. Listen, Pittsburgh has lost some tough games. That doesn't mean that they're no slouches. Is the game here or is it in Pittsburgh?
It's here in Miami.
So that's what you come back home, you rest up, and you know what? Listen, I have confidence in the offense. Listen, and I do agree with Jazz. When the game got a little bit out of hand and you had to throw because you wasn't really running the football. Well, no offense, you didn't even want to establish that. It's going to be difficult for a guy to find his guys when you pressure already in his face after 3 seconds, and his one great target is now on the sideline. Exactly. I don't care who you are in any offense in football, where collegiate, high school, or pros. When that all ends up happening at the same time, dude, it's really difficult to get the ball moving down the field.
I think with the fans, really quick to touch on as well, and I'm just gonna say it and let it be at peace. If you guys watched the Gators game yesterday, end of the third quarter, those Texas A&M student section, that's all I'm gonna say. It's just a little too much for me,
Yeah, 20% my ass. Oops, did I say that?
Did you see the Texas game? There was at least 75% of
That's all that's all I want to say. It's just I looked over at that student section and I was like, that's
here in Florida, we follow rules.
Sure. We'll see about that.
I think that's why Dan Mullen's saying that though, Kai.
Maybe.
And down here we can essentially have as many fans as we want now, right?
65,000. Yep,
that's crazy. I hope they don't do that.
No,
I want no part of that.
We shouldn't do that, man. I'm sorry. We shouldn't risk it, man. No, it's not. No. Unless we think we got football going on right now, because the NFL right now is a mess.
Yeah, like
Adam Schefter just released a new forwarding schedule. It's changed the Miami Dolphins scheduling now to the whole thing.
But it's a little beneficial. I just
I can't wait for today's post game because I know for the Dolphins post game, we're definitely going to be talking about that.
Oh, for sure. I'll see you in a couple.
Damn Tennessee Titans for going to a high school and working out. You weren't supposed to do that.
Oh boy.
Anyway, come on, Ryan. An example, bro.
Flacco. Anyways, here's another one right before. I know we're gonna probably sign off in a second, but Auburn and Arkansas. That was some controversy at the end of that game.
That was a fumble. I don't care what you tell me. Auburn paid somebody. Okay, War Damn Eagle paid somebody, and poor Big Who was it? Who picked Suey?
Yeah, stupid crap like that.
I'm sorry, man, but Auburn got lucky yesterday, man. That should have been reviewed, and that should have been Arkansas football.
Wait a second. Did Jamison Crowder just score?
Oh, look at you. You got fantasy points. Wrong show.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't think we have anything else. Big games. Who does Florida play next weekend?
LSU, baby, 3:30 at the Swamp.
They're going to mollywop them. They're done.
Yeah.
LSU's done.
Yeah, our defense better not give up 35 points, or I'm gonna have another anxiety panic attack and tell Kai no post game.
Yeah, listen.
Yep.
More than 35 points to LSU, then yeah, I mean, we're just not gonna have a conversation.
If UF gives up 35 points to LSU, just take them out of the top 25 in total.
Facts.
Don't even let it sit.
Yeah, and of course, listen, you don't even want to talk to us if Pitt beats Miami or even keeps it.
Hey, listen, if Florida and Miami lose again, we'll just share the same platform as we did yesterday, and we'll just.
How about this? Let's just all hope that by the time that we're all talking,
brutal. It's gonna be brutal.
Hope that by the time we're all talking next week, the Miami Heat are NBA champions. Let's just leave
it. Listen, if we had to sacrifice yesterday for the way that our teams lost, just for a Heat championship, I am all in, baby. 100%. I'm all in, baby. Heat culture.
By the way, someone NYC Kane brought up something funny. It's true though. When we started watching, I don't know if you heard it, Manny, earlier today on Sunday Ticket. They were just propping up, blowing so much smoke up Joe Burrow's butt, talking about how in 12 to 15 years he's going to be in the Hall of Fame and this, that, and the other. And they have 0 points so far in the up until
they're getting dominated right now.
That's not entirely his fault. That line is awful. Awful.
I know.
Worst line I've ever seen.
I was kind of hoping that T. Higgins would get involved, but he's on my bench today anyway, so it's okay.
Fantasy football is a dangerous game to be playing during these times. Bro.
It is.
Prize Picks, baby. Prize Picks. Go sign up.
Oh, that's right.
Hey.
Hold on. Let me give you all that code, man. Are you kidding me? By the way, we thank 5 Reasons Sports and Ethan J. Skonik for this amazing platform and opportunity they've all given us. Make sure to go to prizepicks.com. Promo code word 5. I don't have the read in front of me, Jazz. I hope you can help me out here.
Yeah, man. So it's easy. I've got it down already, man. So it's easy. You pick two to 4 players, okay? And
by the way, I love it. It's either over or under, correct?
Yeah, you just pick the over under on predicted fantasy points. So that's all you have to do, and you win, man. You even have the option to pick a flex option that allows you to win even if you don't hit on one guy, right? You can hit on 3 out of the 4.
All right, so I see on here over or under Boston Celtics game tonight. I'm gonna put under because they're not playing.
No, they're not playing.
I'll let you have your fun now. I've been to 12 championship parades. It's all right.
You're living in the past. Come on, man.
Let me know when the Dolphins parade is, and then I'll come out. I'll fly down to Miami and I'll go to the Dolphins parade.
No, he got so mad. He goes to me. Yeah, the Heat are gonna be on the couch with the freaking Celtics. I go, yeah, the Heat are gonna be on the couch with the 4th championship.
We have 17, so if you want me to lend one of ours,
you haven't won one since Bill Russell came out alive, man. Stop.
You had 11 with Bill Russell when there was 17 in the NBA. Come on.
I was in the heavens when Bill Russell was winning them, bro.
Plus, it doesn't count when you have Paul Pierce on your team. That guy's talking about picks.
All facts.
All right.
I don't like Paul Pierce as an analyst. I will give you guys that. He's kind of a whiny person. I was gonna say something else, but he's a whiny person. I don't like him as an analyst.
The good thing about this is, Danny, we kind of have free range. We can use a couple cuss words every once in a while, man. We're okay. We're not, I think Ethan's gonna be fine with it. So you can say he's an ass. He's an ass.
He's a bitch as an analyst, but he was a decent player.
Yeah, he's all right. He never was and never will.
Let me get out of my wheelchair. Oh,
he's like LeBron cramps in San Antonio.
He never was and never will be as good as Dwayne Wade. So don't give me that shit. All right. Let's just leave it right there.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. That's the best way to end it.
That's it. Love you guys. All right, man. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, see you later, guys.